This is how to create case folders with GoodReader. GoodReader is your file cabinet on the iPad. Now on the left-hand side, these are all the folders I've already created in my GoodReader. Open cases at the top, my law library at the bottom. What we'll talk about is how to open a case with GoodReader. This case, like so many cases in our office, started with an email. We received an email from John Smith who says he needs help with his employment contract. Knowing that this is an employment matter with ABC Contracting, I'll return to GoodReader, click on New Folder under the Manage Files tab, and type ABC Contract. That will be the name of the matter that I'm going to be creating a case folder for. And I'll be able to sync this matter back to my office via the Dropbox service. I'll create subfolders within that new matter. The same subfolders I would create with manila paper folders if we were creating a paper file in our office. But in this case, it'll all be electronic. For correspondence, for pleadings, for research, and of course for witnesses as well. It's really the same file structure regardless of what you have in your office. Whatever you do in the paper file, replicate that file folder structure in GoodReader as well. I return to the email to get the name of our client. He's our first witness. And I'll create a subfolder for our client, John Smith, and I'll add new witnesses as they arise over the course of the representation. Now, the first step, is, at least in our firm, in opening a case, is to create an open file memorandum. What I'll do is click on the New TXT button under Manage Files. And here, this is where I'm going to type notes about the file. It's the word processor inside of GoodReader. This file will be called Open File Memorandum, and I'll click OK. The keyboard automatically opens up, and I'll return to the email, and what I'll do is I'll actually copy and paste whatever was in the email, because usually the client has given you some version of the facts underlying their representation when they contact you. I'll copy and paste that particular information into the Open File Memorandum. And then after doing so, if you have the most recent version of the iPad, you can click on the microphone icon and dictate a note into the Open File Memorandum. You have to be connected to the internet to do that. You can also just simply type notes into the Open File Memorandum. Whatever notes you would type into an Open File Memorandum if you were to do it longhand or on your desktop computer at the office. This is a non-compete matter, and I'll know that I need to do certain tasks as part of this representation. Get a copy of the contract. Schedule an office appointment, obviously, with the client. Once I've finished typing this Open File Memorandum, I'll click on Close or Save at the top, and I'll navigate by tapping in the middle of the screen and click back to the folders themselves. Note I can click on the box and pencil icon at the bottom of the screen if I want to type more information within that memorandum. Click Close, and then I'll return to the case folder itself. The next step is that I'll want to gather some research materials as I'm starting my representation for this case. I'll go to the Virginia Non-Compete folder, where as you can see, I've been gathering PDF copies of opinions in Virginia courts dealing with non-compete matters, at least for the past 2 years. And here, for example, is an opinion I've saved to my GoodReader folder called Home Paramount. This is really the touchstone case on non-compete law that's going to be applicable to our client's case in ABC Contracting. I've highlighted portions of that document, and those highlights stay in the actual PDF. This is really no different than pulling a paper copy of the opinion out of my desk drawer and walking to the photocopier and making a copy of that opinion for the case file. But in this case, I will copy language from that particular opinion. I'm going to save that language later in the Open File Memorandum. But then I'll also click on Manage Files, highlight the file itself, click on Copy, and then when I copy that opinion, I can navigate back to ABC Contract. And I'll click on the Research subfolder and actually add a copy of this opinion itself. That starts my research for this particular case. It's just like walking into your own law library in the office, except everything in this particular situation is done electronically. Because really, as lawyers, we traffic in information. We don't traffic in paper. And so everything can be done electronically within the GoodReader app. I'll return to ABC Contract, and I'll click on the correspondence subfolder when I need to add the information I've copied and pasted from that particular opinion. Again, the box and pencil icon in the lower right-hand corner. And I'll paste, here it is, the information from that particular holding. And this is going to drive my research when I write the initial client letter as part of my open file memo. Having added this information, what I'll do is return to the Pleadings tab, the Research tab. And what I can do is I can either add photographs or other exhibits by clicking on the camera icon in the lower right-hand corner. What I can also do is return to that open file memorandum and actually move this back to the office. You can click on the upload button if you want to upload it to Dropbox. We use the Dropbox service to move documents. You could also email this document by clicking on the Email tab on the right-hand side. Again, you have to click on Manage Files and highlight the document first. And that would send this particular text file as an email attachment if I want to email it back to the office. I won't do that now. But what I will do is click on Manage Files, highlight, and I'll click Open In. These are the various apps on my iPad that I use to process documents. I clicked on PDF Converter. What PDF Converter does is take a text document that I've drafted in GoodReader, and it will render it as a PDF file. That gives the file a little bit more integrity. It's easier to send as an attachment. And I'll open it back in the GoodReader folder, because what I'm going to do is save this PDF copy of the open file memorandum. I'll go ahead and click Manage Files, and I'll highlight the document itself, and I'll click Move, and I'll navigate back to the correspondence folder in the ABC contract matter. And I'll file it away there. I'll click Move One Item here. Now that I've created a PDF copy of that particular memo, I'll go back to Virginia Non-Compete folder at the bottom there. Again, this is my law library. And what I'm going to do is click on Articles, and I'll highlight Employer's Guide to Non-Compete Litigation. And this will be a helpful article for me to review before I speak with our client at the office appointment. Again, I clicked on Manage Files, highlighted, Copy, and I'll copy that article to the actual case folder. And I'll do the same thing here. This has to do with apparently a computer fraud matter dealing with a non-compete contract. So I'm copying an article on computer trespass. Those resources are at my fingertips, and I visit our law library in GoodReader every time we open a new matter. That's where I can save copies of documents for the future. What I'm going to do now, having gathered some materials in the research section, I've returned to it, and I've clicked on a PDF copy of an opinion that I had already filed away called GPS Consulting. This is a PDF copy of an opinion, and I'm going to show how you can annotate this document as you're preparing your research. Click on Highlight, and I'll click on Save to this file. And that allows me to start highlighting this document. Note in the upper right-hand corner, you can use the forwards and backwards arrows to easily navigate between pages. I'll highlight sections of the document. I can also add other annotations by clicking on that icon. I can draw on the document itself. I can add notes in the margin. This is particularly helpful if, like me, you review a lot of medical records as part of your practice. And what I'm going to do is add a note when I review this document later at the office to add this particular paragraph about lost profits to the demand letter that we're going to draft in this case. And what I'll do is click Close, and those annotations themselves will save on the PDF. I can view those annotations whether I email this document to myself or email it to the office. Be sure to click on Flatten Annotations. It saves your annotations. And now you can see in the ABC contract matter, I've added subfolders, I've done some research, I've added witnesses, I've drafted the open file memorandum. And having added all of this information, I've been able to do it directly on my iPad without ever sitting down at my desk.